Good day to everyone who is viewing us on all social media platforms, and welcome back to another session of the Boardroom Sessions. So today we have a very special guest, a person who has founded 2 companies in the financial technology space. So we have Mr. Kanishka Weeramunda with us today. So let's start like this, Kanishka. So we are not really guests. We have been working together in the space of education, if you are not wrong. So what is DirectPay and what is PayMedia?
Right. So first of all, I would like to thank you to begin with. So these 2 companies are both fintech companies. So we started first PayMedia in 2014 as a fintech startup, which was mainly focusing on collection operations.
Right.
So we were dealing with the cash, checks, those kind of instruments.
Okay.
So DirectPay is a spin-off in 2018 because we saw entire world is going towards digitization in currency,
right,
the way of transacting.
Yeah.
So that was a spin-off. We formed a different company with the approval from the central bank to operate as a payment service provider.
Okay.
And that's completely focused on digital payment space.
Right. Right. Okay. So this concept of fintech came into the play in Sri Lanka, if I'm not wrong, maybe 10 years ago?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like this. Financial technology is a very broader topic.
Right.
It has been there for a long time, but it didn't come to the commercialization side
Right.
for a longer time. Right. So it was not. I would say consumers were not mainly exposed to that.
Right.
It was a back-end player. But you're right, during last 10 years, if you look at, most of financial technology or fintechs came into the consumer space and the consumerization happened. So as a result of that, a lot of people start using fintech on their day-to-day life.
So when we talk about financing or financials, what comes to our mind in the first place is banking or a financial company. So what is the main difference between fintech and banking?
Right. So let's look at this. Right now, any industry, there is innovation happens. Right. So every generation they contribute to certain amount of innovation. If you take banking and finance, which has been one of the oldest industries in the world, also has gone through the same innovation cycle. So that is basically sustaining the next level of innovation.
Right.
Fintechs did the disruption. They parachuted. They came up with complete different methods, then ways of doing things, and also they basically disrupted in a way that the banking industry had been holding on to these regulations.
Right.
So they basically went beyond that, not basically cutting the regulations, but they eventually find different loopholes, or they basically thought beyond the regulations and did certain innovations.
So DirectPay, another company which you have already founded. So in this company, so you guys are mainly focusing on online payment collections. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So how is this online payment collection is playing a game in Sri Lanka? Is it like a game-changing industry? Because in Sri Lanka, most of the people in Colombo, or maybe in the town of Kandy, or maybe in the peaking areas of the down south area might know the digitalization and how the payment collections are going to happen. So your company, how is it making a game-changing plan in the space of fintech?
Right. So I'll start this question in answering you in a different way. Now, you go to a supermarket.
Right.
What is your intention?
I want to buy my day-to-day stuff.
You want to buy something,
Exactly.
right? Now, as a byproduct, there's a payment that you make, right?
Yes.
Right. So our end game is, how do we digitize that byproduct?
Right.
Right? every person, every citizen, every individual would have a payment requirement.
Yes.
That is, I mean, something which has been there for a long time.
Right.
So what we try to do is we try to bring in convenience, security, fast settlements, and overall experience should go on a digital node. Right. Now we had been carrying our wallets for the longest time.
Yes.
Right. But today, if you look at, probably 80% of people have a smartphone in their hand.
Absolutely.
And the connectivity is there.
Yeah.
Right. So what we do is we are converting the wallet into the phone.
Yes.
Right. That's an innovation. So that's something which is bringing in, which the banking industry, which has been there around the fiat currencies, has not thought about.
Yeah.
Right. So those are the types of innovations which we do in terms of, I would say, inspiring and also bringing more convenience to the society.
So according to your answer, what you are saying is the customer behavior has been changing continuously. To cater that customer behavior, you guys have innovated a product which is a game-changing one in the market.
Correct. I also have to add this, right? Now, it's not only the consumer transactions.
Right.
Majority of transactions are there on the B2B side, where a retailer would pay their distributor and the distributor would pay the manufacturer.
Right.
So that entire value chain also we digitize in terms of payments.
Right.
So what you see, the tip of the iceberg is a consumer part.
Right.
But the actual iceberg is the B2B side of things.
So when the user behavior is changing and continuous technological advancements are hitting the market, people are looking at different solutions on a day-to-day basis. There are QR codes are there, now there are contactless payment gateways and everything which is going on in the market. So how do you see the users, especially the modern ones, the millennials, how are they adapting into these payment solutions?
I think the confusion part remains with the generation X and C to a certain extent, because they have gone through various changes. But
Yeah.
today, if you look at a millennial or a person very young who is coming into the transaction space, would not go through any of those confusions because they are using the latest methods.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, I understand the question what you are bringing in. Right.
Yes.
We had various types of different methods which has been tried out. So if you look at even ATMs to be popular, it took almost about 20 years.
Yeah.
Right. Even if you look at the debit card and credit card to accept in a retail shop, in Sri Lanka, it took more than 10 years, right? Because they were arguing about the commission and other things, but they didn't know dealing with cash is more expensive than the commission that they got to pay as the MDR, right? So that logical understanding also takes a little bit time for people to realize digital payments is much more secure, easier and faster.
When you say it's much more secure, how secure is this? Because when it comes to online, we see even bigger companies like Facebook is being hacked at sometimes.
Yeah.
So how secure are we talking about?
Right. So today, if you lose your wallet, you tend to lose all your money, cards, probably your ID card, driving license, everything, right? In a digital environment, there are much more ways of tracking it, right? Let's say you made a QR payment. Now today, one of the popular payments in Sri Lanka is Lanka QR based payments, right?
Yeah.
If you do it, right, the entire track record is there to understand who was the merchant and the amount which was paid, whether it was deducted from your bank account. Everything can be tracked. Right. International space, that's much more convenient, because even if somebody stole your credit card and make a payment, right, there is always a mechanism of tracking it.
Right.
And there are ways of chargeback and there are ways to recover.
Yeah.
Right. So in that sense, it is secure. And also, there are certain security standards the fintech industries as well as banks follow. So one of them is PCI DSS, right? So those kind of standards are there to assure, but nobody can guarantee that there cannot be any kind of a loophole in the system. That will be there, and more security will be implemented in future.
Okay. So once again, we are having a discussion with Mr. Kanishka Weeramunda, the founding member of DirectPay. So the discussion here today is how the financial currency or the financial technology industry is being disrupted and how it is being working with the e-commerce industry hand on hand. So I just want to bring this question back again. E-commerce is something which is playing a major role globally. To Sri Lanka, it is something a little bit new, but I think we are positively adapting. How is your company contributing towards the e-commerce industry?
Yeah, that's a very, I would say, vital question at this moment of time. Let's take COVID. So post-COVID, we have seen a tremendous growth in e-commerce, right? Now, if you look at before COVID to post-COVID, it's probably about 400%.
Wow.
Right? So that's the adaptation. Now, if you look at every person who wants to sell something, they would look at a digital channel.
Yeah.
Right? The first priority is digital channel.
Absolutely.
Because that's on the phone, you can snap it, you can put it, you can get the payment digitally, you can send the goods, right? So that's basically C2C commerce, customer to customer or the consumer to consumer, right? But if you look at certain companies, namely like Daras, right, has tremendously evolved the market, right? Today, people's first priority would be looking at digital channels. They would look at Daras, they would look at probably any other
like
Kapruka, then also other supermarkets also has come up with payment facilitation with the online supermarket experience. So those channels would be the fastest ones, and because they provide you day-to-day things at your doorstep.
Yeah.
So that trend has changed.
Right.
And also, we have seen a tremendous increase in the service sector.
Right.
To name few, today most of the doctors, they do online calls and the charging is done by way of sending a payment link. Lawyers adapt it. They charge their legal fees on by sending, right? One of our customer segments is the tuition sector.
Yeah.
Right? Most of the tuition teachers, they use a payment link to collect their payments. So if you look at 4 years back, that was not the environment. So e-commerce is not today just selling something on a site. It is beyond that. It is basically how do you provide a service digitally and collect your money digitally.
Great. That's really, really great to hear. So the local aspect is covered very well with your answers. How are the global trends towards the financial technological markets and e-commerce? What are you seeing there? What are the global trends you are seeing there?
Today, I think if you look at most of international or cross-border operations, even we facilitate certain things like Lanka Remit platform is run by us.
Right.
We developed it and we provide certain services for that. Now, remittance has been one of the instruments where they had to go to a money transfer agent or exchange house in a foreign country and send the money, or to a bank, which is expensive channel, to send money to Sri Lanka. Right? So today, people use the debit card, credit card, simply stay at home, put their the amount that they want to send it, and instantly somebody in Sri Lanka gets the money in their bank account. Right? So that's the cross-border side. Now, apart from that, there has been also international trade. Most of the trade is facilitated through cross-border payments, and cards has been one of the predominant instruments. There are corporate cards which enables these kind of specialized payments being launched by all the schemes. So those being used. To give you a bit different perspective, crypto also has been one of the instruments, but certain jurisdictions are not accepting it. But if you look at the other applications like smart contracts and other things are in place to support these financial transactions.
Right. How well do you think the local community is adapting to payment methods like DirectPay? So,
I have to give you a very positive answer on that. We have seen tremendous growth during last 2 years to 3 years, how local community has got adapted.
Right.
And today, one of the sectors that we facilitate is the insurance sector. I would say most of the insurance premiums are today completely digitally paid.
well, that is really interesting to hear. How is this working? Because insurance is something which we are seeing, like agent is walking to you saying that we want to sell you this policy. But how is it really working with fintech now?
Yeah, so today, we also have exposed ourselves into InsurTech. So some of the things that we've seen is there are certain policies people buy willingly, right? Now, because of the regulatory requirements, the vehicle insurance and other things they have to buy.
Right.
Travel insurance is something post-COVID, every country requires your insurance.
Right.
Those are out-of-the-shelf products, right? So those kind of products are digitally bought,
Right.
without an influence of an agent. So that trend is now picking up.
Great. Artificial intelligence is in the market like crazily big now, because with the intervening of ChatGPT, people thought about every business in a very different scale now. Those days when someone wanted to hire a content writer, now the same question can go on ChatGPT and get the answer very quickly. So artificial intelligence is disrupting every single industry. How is the involvement towards the fintech?
I would say the underlying technology what we use is AI, right? Even though it's not in the consumer space, right? Every time you do login or you register into an app, without your knowledge, we use AI to assure that it is you. So we have a product on electronic KYC. When you are onboarded, we take your selfie, we match with your ID photograph to understand whether it's the same person, and also your behavior of typing that is captured, and we basically identify at a different instance whether it's the same person with the same typing behavior.
Right.
So likewise, there are a lot of things we used. And also the main part being in the payment industry is the fraud and AML. That's the biggest two headaches that we have. Completely AI is the technology that we use to screen and do certain verifications on transactions.
Awesome.
So AI is one of the pillars in fintech.
So one more thing which I wanted to ask when it comes to the digital space. Now, digital payments, digital solutions, everything is coming up to be digital. Now, locals are quite aware that digitally these products, whatever your payment gateway, or let's say any payment gateway from a bank or any provider can solve. But internationally, people are coming with maybe Shopify or Squarespace. They are giving their own payment solution, while they have an incorporated e-commerce solution in them. So how do you see this? How do you think the locals should adapt into this sort of solutions? Do you think locals should adapt into, look into this and develop more solutions? Or do you think they have to adapt into solutions which is globally catering the communities?
Right. So there are two ways of handling that. Right. Now, if you take, since you took the example of Shopify and the other leading platforms, some of these platforms, Sri Lankan payment gateways are supported.
Right.
Right. Now, what happens is if you take a platform with a foreign gateway, your settlement will come to an overseas account in that respective country.
Right.
then bringing that money from that country to Sri Lanka will also have a cost implication. Right. Now, if you look at local gateways, they have provided the APIs as well as the technology for most of the online shopping platforms where they can plug in. And if you look at most of Sri Lankan companies who are using these platforms are using a local gateway. So then what happens is it will get charged and it will be cleared in Sri Lanka. So that technology is there.
Is it available right now?
Yeah, it's available, right? And so to give you a bit of a context on the same question, now there had been a myth a long time back that PayPal is one of the things that we should bring to Sri Lanka and that will solve the problem. Now, if you look at all the payment gateways, including DirectPay, is equal to PayPal. Only thing what we don't have is PayPal has a global brand name which has been trusted by the entire global population. Having DirectPay or any other payment gateway out of Sri Lanka would not have that brand presence. So somebody putting their card to PayPal would not think twice, but putting a DirectPay would think twice. That's the challenging part that we have to sort out. But otherwise, if you look at the underlying technologies, the security aspects and everything, most of them are, up to standard and it's up to the global expectation. So we process payments for most of the foreign companies, and it has not been a challenge so far. Only thing is that brand perception challenge is there.
Great. So one final question, Mr. Weeramunda. In the next 10 to 15 years, where will the financial technology industry be in the digital economy in Sri Lanka?
Okay, so I'll go back to one of my previous explanations, right? You will have always an intention of buying a product or service. As a byproduct, there will be a payment, right? So that payment, probably 10 to 15, I don't think even it will take 10 years, it will be less than 10 years, will be digitally done, right? And it will also have certain other attributes attached to that. Probably, maybe in the morning when you get up, probably the AI will run and know what kind of payment intentions will be with you, and they will budget accordingly. And they will know exactly this is the amount. And if you are going over budget, it will probably indicate to you in your mobile saying your expenditure pattern has probably disrupted or it's going beyond the expected plan, whether you want to still continue or not.
That is with the assistance of data.
That is with the assistance of data. That's where the AI part actually comes in. And probably this is what I always say. Today you go to supermarket, right? In another 2 to 3 years time, you will not go. You will probably talk to your fridge and tell, bring these items. They will process it. They will send to the nearest supermarket. It will be delivered. Probably Alexa will talk to you and say, hey, the amount is 5,000 rupees. Do you want to pay it your card or do you want to do a bank transfer? And you will not have to click any button.
So thank you very much, Mr. Weeramunda, for that insightful discussion. So to all our viewers, thank you very much for joining us for another session of our Boardroom Sessions. So stay tuned, guys. We will be joining you with a fresh session very soon. Till then, take care of you.